Hey there everyone, Udaldor here, and welcome to a block spotlight video on the Impulse Hopper from Addons. Now, this is a truly amazing piece of work. It's absolutely stunning, and you know, it's kind of funny. I was actually planning on, I am planning on making a complete mod spotlight on Addons, which by the way is a fantastic mod. So you can definitely expect something great. But anyway, I was looking through the mod and I found the Impulse Hopper, and after messing around with it, I thought, wow, this deserves its own video, and here it is. So definitely do keep an eye out for the complete mod spotlight. But first, let's take a look at what the Impulse Hopper does. Now you can already hear with the name that it's got to do with hoppers, and everyone should know what a vanilla Minecraft hopper does. It moves items from an inventory above it into its own internal buffer, and then pushes those on to an inventory next to it or below it in this case. So it's kind of cool, and it can be used in various forms of automation. But what happens when you want to automate more complicated tasks or crafting processes with the hopper? Well, you can bump into multiple issues. Now, I have a small setup here with an alloy smelter and a chest with gold, redstone, and glowstone, which, if you mess around a lot with Ender.io, should know makes energetic alloy. So what we want to do here is we want to make 4 pieces of energetic alloy, and what happens when we flip the lever? It's going to start moving the gold into the alloy smelter, and this is where the issues start. Now, one of the issues here is that, well, you're kind of wasting a lot of time. Now, you're wasting the time it takes to move 2 stacks of items before the crafting process even begins. So now, once we've moved the first 2 items, the glowstone will go in and the process will begin. So this is one of the issues. Now the other issue was we only wanted 4 energetic alloy, and now we're going to get 32 of them. Now if you want to automate using hoppers, a system to craft energetic alloy where you want to be able to only get a few, it gets a little bit more problematic. It's a lot more complicated than just a setup like this. And that's where the Impulse Hopper helps us. You didn't miss this, did you? Watch me and Koryonji mess around with bees on the Project Gamma Infinity server. So the Impulse Hopper is quite simple to make. You need 3 hoppers, an empty machine framework, which is just dark steel and electrical steel, and an Impulse Hopper framework, which is, well, a chassis, machine chassis here, some redstone, some hoppers, electrical steel, and the most expensive part, the Z-Logic controller. Now if you're feeling insecure with the recipes, you can always just use NEI, not enough items to look them up in game, and that should help you. So let's get started and see what the Impulse Hopper can do for us. Now once we start placing these down in the world, you'll see up in Wayla, or when we open the interface up, that it requires power. So that's the first thing we'll see. And it has a max of 640 RF per tick, so it's quite high compared to some of the other Ender.io machines. So here we are filling that up, and well, let's start explaining what all these things are. You have 3 rows of item slots here, and we're gonna take a look at what all of them do. Now the first row here is where you set where you put your items in, right? So you basically, this is the hopper's internal storage. Now if we try to put something in, you'll see that, well, it doesn't quite work. That's because the first thing we have to do is specify here in the middle row what we want to move into an inventory, right? So let's say we want to move half a stack of planks. So we can take here, you'll see if we just take the planks and click there, it's going to select, well, set it to 64 planks. And you can just use your scroll wheel here to set it to 32, or what you could do also is just you know, take the stack of 32 planks and do that. So let's say 32, sounds good. And now you'll realize that we can put the wood in, but only in this slot here. You'll also see that the arrow here turns green because we have enough items for one operation. So that's kind of cool. Now the next thing we're gonna have to specify is where we want the items to go. So you have the normal configure IO button here, which you can find in most Ender IO machines. Let's specify that we want to push the items to, well, let's say up. That's something you can't really do with vanilla hoppers, so that's another cool feature. You can select where to push and where from to pull. So let's go ahead and place this chest down. What happens? Well, nothing happens. That's because the redstone mode here isn't met. What we'll do for now is we'll just set this to always active, and you can see kind of how it works, right? So that's kind of cool. Just moves them 32 at a time. Now let's make this, oh, I don't know, 8. And you can see kind of how it works, right? So it pushes at the same time as it pulls new items from the storage slots. Pretty cool. Now we could set this thing up. This is where it gets really good. You can move multiple items at a time, and this is kind of where this thing gets useful, right? So remember, we couldn't craft energetic alloys the way we wanted because it moved too many of the items, right? So this is where you can specify that you want to move 8 planks, 4 diamonds, and I don't know, 6 redstone, right? Now you'll see it doesn't move any items until all of these criteria are met. So we can put planks in, let's put 15 in, and we'll put the diamonds in, and finally the redstone. It's gonna move one set of them like that. Pretty cool. So it moves them all at the same time, but it doesn't move now because all of the criteria aren't met. The redstone criteria is met, redstone and diamonds are met for the item criteria, and well, we don't have enough planks, therefore it won't move the items. Now let's go ahead and place a chest down, another one right here, and we can go ahead and set the hopper to pull items from there. So this is kind of similar to most other Ender IO machines. You can see the slots highlighted, right? So it's gonna pull items from here into these slots, and it's gonna push items from here up here into this chest. So let's go ahead and place the planks in, and it goes, because now it has enough items to move all the sets, and now we're out of planks, the diamonds and the redstone stop moving. So that's kind of cool. That's basically how simple this thing is. That's how easy it is to use. Now, another thing you can do, you see you have your normal capacitor slot here. Let's just try those. And then we'll take a look a little on the different redstone modes there are. So a double layer capacitor is going to double the storage, of course. You'll see now it uses a lot more power, right? That's a lot more. So it was 640. Now it's 5120, right? So that's kind of different. Let's go ahead and specify the same thing we had before. Some planks, some redstone, and some diamonds. Let's do it that way. Now you'll realize now it moves the items a lot quicker, right? See how it does that? And finally with the octadic capacitor, it's gonna do it even faster, right? See? So that's kind of cool, but now of course it takes up a lot more power per operation. So 20,000 is the max use now compared to the original 640. So definitely make sure that you don't use capacitors in these things more than you have to. Alright, let's take a look now at the different redstone modes there are. So a good way to see when a redstone criteria is met is to just look at this little redstone spot here. You'll realize that over here it's on because we have it set to always active, meaning it's going to be on at all times. Try to do as operations all the time, right? So you'll see here now it's not met because we have it set to rising edge, and you can look through these. Falling edge, no, still not. High pulse, nope. Low pulse, nope. High signal, nope. And low signal works because, well, there is no redstone applied. So what do all these things do? Let's start with the simple ones. Low signal. Basically, that's going to be on whenever there is no redstone signal at all, right? So no redstone signal can be applied. See, even a power of 3 or a power of 1 is enough to disable this. So that's pretty straightforward. Now, high signal is obviously the other way around. So as soon as it receives a signal, whether it's 14, 15, or 3 or 1, it's always going to be on whenever the redstone is turned on. So that's another way to do this. Now let's take a look at some of the other ones, right? So the default one here is rising edge. Now what rising edge does is basically it does one operation when the signal changes from low to high, right? So whenever the signal is well, like it is now, right now it's off. So the signal is low. Whenever the signal changes to high, for example, if we switch a lever on over here, giving it a power of 12, it's going to do one operation. So you see the redstone lamp here just flashing on for a brief moment, moving one set of items. So that's pretty straightforward. So this is basically mostly for binary inputs, right? So when the signal changes to high, it's going to do one operation. Now, falling edge is the other way around. When a signal goes away, right? So right now, high signal is applied, but you see it doesn't pulse until the signal goes away. So once the signal has been high, it goes away, it does one movement of items, right? So one set of items will be moved from the slots up here to the slots down there. Pretty cool. Now, the two ones we have left is high and low pulse, and these are probably the ones you'll use the most, right? So high pulse, the definition here, I'm just saying the definition of it is that when a signal goes from 1 or below, so 1 or, well, no signal at all, 1 or 0, to 14 or higher, it's going to do one operation. So let's try it out. If we just place the redstone down like this, once the signal goes from 1 or below to 14 or higher, right? So when we had the rising edge, it had to be just on for it to move. Now it has to be 14 or higher. So let's take a look at the high pulse one. Does it do anything now? No, because the redstone thing is too long. Let's see now. So right now the power is 1, and per definition it should work when it goes from 1 to 14 or higher. So do this, it turns to 14, and it does one operation. So you see how that works? Now the thing here is that the signal has to go away completely before you can do it again. So signal can go away like that, and now it works again. So now it works every time because the signal is off. But we could have this as kind of a lock. So now we can do it once, but we have to wait for the signal to go away completely before we can actually start the operations again. So you'll see that no redstone signals now work at all because the signal is still turned on. See how that works? Pretty cool. Now, the one we have left now is low pulse, which is basically the other way around. So if we had, when the signal goes from 1 or below to 14 or higher, now we have the other way around. When the signal has been 14 or higher and drops to 1 or below. So right now, signal is 14. Flip it off, does 1 operation. Pretty cool. And this should work like this as well. So power 1, flip it. Now, alright, you know, this doesn't work because the signal is on, obviously. So you see how that works? It's just like before, there's a lock. So signal is 14, turn it off, it pulses, and this works all the time. But if we have our lock, we can do this as many times as we want, but nothing is going to happen until the lock is disabled. So now the lock is here, disable the lock, and it does 1 pulse. So that's pretty cool. Now, the thing you'd probably use the most here is probably high pulse, right? So every time you flip the lever or do something like that, it'll do the thing. You could also use rising edge for this, which would basically do the same thing, but you could also have the redstone thing being a bit away. So that's pretty cool. Now, what can we do with this? What are the uses of the hopper? So one thing you could do is something like this. What do we have here? We have a Buildcraft assembly table powered by all these lasers, hooked up to power, of course. We have an impulse hopper set to move golden chipsets, red, blue, and green pipe wire into the assembly table when it receives a pulse. We have an ME interface hooked up to the applied energistic system here to keep all these items stocked in itself, right? So the impulse hopper is going to pull all the necessary materials from the interface, which will always keep itself stocked, and move them down into the assembly table when it receives a pulse. Now the assembly table will then move the gold ore gates that it produces into this chest, and it will then be imported into the ME system. So how does this work? We have a level emitter over here which will emit a signal basically when we have less than 5 gates in the system. How many we have? We have 5. Let's go ahead and just steal one of them, and you'll see the lasers instantly turning on like this. Isn't that cool? Now what happens is it's obviously going to start crafting the gold ore gate. Once it's done, gets put in the chest. See, we got 4. But then we also have this timer here, which is going to pulse every 18 seconds until we have enough gates. So you see this gate is almost about finished. Let's see if the timer turns off before it pulses again. It does. Isn't that cool? I think it's a great way actually of auto crafting Buildcraft gates. So we have 5 now, and obviously that's going to disable the redstone signal over here, and that's going to turn the timer off. So this is just one example of all the cool things you can do with the impulse hopper. Now let's see also if we can revamp the alloy smelter system that we have over here. So let's just switch this thing out for a powered impulse hopper. We're gonna want to pull from the chest up there like before and push into the alloy smelter, and we're going to need some, well, glowstone of course, and some gold ingots. So let's just do the system like this. We want to push 1 of each item into the thing when we receive a high pulse. That should work. See? And let's put the items in, and let's say we want 4 energetic alloy. We just pulse this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And alright, maybe I was a little too quick. See how that works? Pulse it, it moves, right? So it takes a while for it to move, but that's basically just a basic way of making a system like this. It's so much easier than having the hopper move all the items, each stack of its own, because that takes so much longer. You'll see this just works instantly because it moves the items at the same time. I think it's fantastic. Now, I told you that you would be impressed. I hope you are, because there are so many uses for this. I really hope you guys will use it yourselves. Maybe if you do something cool with it, just leave a comment, share it with us. And I really hope you guys will keep an eye out for the entire mod spotlight of Ender.io add-ons, because when it is a cool mod. Now there are so many other things just as cool as this one, even though this might be my favorite, but yeah, it's an amazing mod and loads of features, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this one, and well, the mod spotlight itself. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, but most of all, I hope you guys enjoyed the Impulse Hopper. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you later.